3, 2, 1. And I think it's live, guys.
Party time. Excellent.
Fuller's playing all the guitars in the room.
Wayne's World.
Hey, welcome to Worship Tutorials Live.
All
You're
right.
hanging out with
Excellent.
Fuller, Bradford, and my name is Brian, if you don't know who we are. Just a couple of...
Excellent. Yes.
I don't know what
we're
we're
streaming.
going to say.
This is
make sure you've silenced
just
your
a bunch
devices.
of washed up worship leaders.
That's right. Two of us are headed careening toward irrelevancy. Bradford's the only one holding the boat up at this point.
That's barely.
You're hanging by a
Barely.
thread.
I'm about to have a kid. I think that's gonna
That
nix
catapults
that.
you.
No.
Yes.
Oh, also, so 2 weeks ago, when we did this stream, and I remember when I said that I tell Kaylee she's barely pregnant.
Oh gosh, that was a mistake.
So I showed her that moment in the stream. In the stream, you're sitting there, just like this, and you go like this. You're looking at me as I'm talking, and I say that, you go, "Wow!" You just like divert your attention. No lie, we watched that clip 5 times over the weekend because she couldn't stop laughing. She's like, "Fuller's a smart man."
Hey, Raul Sanford.
Raul? I know
Raul Candelaria, Sanford, North Carolina. Raul, tell us more.
Raul, I've met him. I know he's a really good dude.
Cool.
Right, Raul. We've met, right? We've met it a couple times in Garner. We've served together.
Oh, wow.
It's hard for me to remember all the faces of people at New Hope over the years, but I definitely remember him.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. Hey, I figured something out, like literally right before we went live. A setting in my Universal Audio Apollo.
UAD.
Which they just released new interfaces, by the way.
Yeah, for the small price of $1,400.
Yeah, well,
NBD.
It's worth every penny.
Like they're
legit.
awesome. They're USB 3. If I were getting interface, I'd get the one right now with the 4 XLR inputs, and then I'd run what I currently have, which is a budget level ADAT.
Yeah, the Behringer one.
Channel strip, so you get 8 more XLR ins. The Behringer one, and Behringer, I mean, it's got some of the Midas, the Midas
preamps
guts in it, so it's pretty good stuff.
It's great.
And then I'd run that in, and you get 12 XLR ins in one UAD interface.
Yeah,
but
UAD
anyway,
is.
What I realized is I have all these effects running in the Apollo that make the audio sound good. And there's a setting.
EQs, yeah.
There's a setting in there where you can either monitor those effects or record those effects when you're tracking. Well, I did not realize that, because I set it to monitor so that I can do whatever I want later. This is nerd talk, and probably I'm losing a whole bunch of people. But what I did was I set it to record, and then all of a sudden it applied it to the live stream. So hopefully the audio...
Hopefully it sounds like we're in a cave.
Hopefully there's no reverb on it. Hopefully the audio is much better right now. You guys can let me know.
Well, Brian, even I knew that that's what that button was for.
Well, I know it does that for recording, but I didn't know that it would I see what
you're saying.
Because all it's doing is sending a signal out that's being captured by Wirecast.
Raul said wrong, Raul. Brian, I think you'll have an apology.
That's the wrong Raul? I'm sorry, Raul.
That's what Raul said.
Raul, next time in Sanford, which will probably be in the next few weeks, let's do lunch.
Okay.
Somebody said y'all have coffee every time. Yes.
It's still.
That's like saying, gee, I see you're wearing a T-shirt every time I engage with you.
So I don't have any.
It's a common thing.
But I have had 2 full glasses, not cups, glasses of Stoke coffee this morning.
This is still glass.
I have a great question to start off.
But it's still glass.
Oh, it is. No, it's ceramic.
Whatever.
You want to start off with a question?
Yes, let's do it.
Good question. Very good question. And I'm sure we'll have some good answers here. This is a technical question, a gear question, if you will.
Yeah.
But one that I think you'll like this one because
I can't answer these.
We've actually had this conversation before.
Oh, yeah?
I've had this conversation, I think, with every campus worship leader that we've launched campus. Okay, this comes from Alex G. Hey, Alex, by the way.
Hey, Alex.
Not a drummer, but I have a question about electronic drums.
Yeah.
When are they most appropriate?
This is a great question.
Pros, cons, how to get buy-in, okay, with the drummer. What's the minimum quality? Because, here's why he's asking. We're getting ready to move to a new building, and I have $7,000 budgeted for drum, cage, mics, etc. I'm wondering if a $5,000 kit would be better, if it'd be nice to get them out of the box. So he's in a situation where they have to make some decisions. They got
He's got a great budget.
Solid budget for a really great drum situation.
You can do a lot either way with that.
List pro and con, electronic versus live.
Well, I think there's a question to ask first. How big is your room?
That's true.
That is a really important question.
Well, they're getting ready to move to a new building, so I'm assuming it's an upgrade from where they're at.
Yeah.
So what do they have now? That's a good question. What do you have now? And then how big is the room? That's a great question. If it's a gymnasium, is it a soundproofed room? Those are all important questions.
Yeah. Our campuses, at least when Brad and I started, this would have been 8 years ago. Wow, Bradford. We got 7 years
Man,
ago.
I'm young.
This man needs a sabbatical. He's due. It's coming.
6 weeks off.
Yeah, and
Hey.
so
Goes by like
and so
Yeah, but the time
when
it takes to
Brad
get
and
there
I
does not.
started, we were both hired as campus worship leaders, and we were at campuses where the room. How many people are in the room in Sanford?
What do you think?
I mean,
200-ish?
in
200
Sanford, 200
200 max.
Yeah.
200 max.
I was at our Garner campus.
Very small, traditional size, average size.
That room would hold
120.
150 maybe.
Maybe.
We kind of
Yeah.
reconfigured it, so 150. And if we had acoustic drum kits in there, it would have been a nightmare. It would have been the only thing you could hear during worship. And so those campuses at that size, we made the decision. I think it was the right decision that electronic drums were appropriate.
Yeah.
But now you're at a campus, Bradford, where the room is how big?
Oh, it's large.
So you could
massive.
You could put 800, 1,000 people in there.
Yeah.
And you guys have acoustic drums.
Yeah.
I think the size of the room is the biggest factor.
Yeah.
That's one of the big factors.
There's a lot of things to consider. One, yes, if you have no drummer chooses electronic if they have the option, right?
No, the drum
Most.
is
Most. I met a guy.
Yeah.
He was weird though.
Yeah, of course. Playing electronic. Let's talk about cons here. Okay, acoustic versus electric.
They're going to be in a youth hall that seats 150 to 200. I
Perfect.
think that's your answer.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's a dining hall.
Live drum kit feels way better. A lot more control, articulations, a lot more musical. Electronic drum kit, not near as playable. Feels fake. Even the high-end ones, they don't sound like a live drum kit. It's not, no drummer that I know is going to prefer an electric kit if given the option. Okay, so you got to know the electronic drum kit has to serve a utilitarian purpose. Now, I will say this: an acoustic drum kit, poorly mic'd, can sound like cardboard boxes.
It'll sound worse.
Yeah, so in certain situations, electronic drum kits will actually sound better than acoustic kits. Because if you're bringing an acoustic kit in, you also have to bring in an audio engineer that knows how to get live drums to sound good.
Yeah.
You have to change the heads on the
least
drums.
once.
You have to tune the drums.
Yep.
You have to, all those things. So the upkeep of an acoustic kit is tremendously higher, and to get it to sound good is harder. Now, the biggest problem with acoustic drums is they're freaking loud, okay? And if you're in a room...
A room that seats 150 people and a drummer hits the cymbal hard.
It's over.
That's the only thing you
Yeah,
hear.
so you have to get the acoustic kit, then you have to get a drum cage to completely enclose it, which is even if you do that, it's very difficult.
And expensive.
Then you got to mic
And it's
everything.
big.
Yeah, so, and if it's portable, it's even worse. So if I'm in your shoes, I'm going electric. It's just less headache for everyone. Here's the other thing. Electric, you plug in 2 cords. It sounds the same every time you plug it in.
Yeah.
Now, I would recommend this. There's a hybrid. Your kick and your toms are good, and even your snare are going to sound really good in the house.
On an electric kit.
On an electric kit.
It's the
What
source.
we do now is we do a hybrid. So we do an electric kick, tom, snare, and then we have these Zildjian makes these low volume cymbals. They're hybrid cymbals made for coffee shops. They're like 60 decibels softer than regular cymbals.
That's insane.
Because the cymbals are what's going to sound the fakest.
The snare is also going to be extremely loud.
The snare a live snare will sound better, but it's going to be really loud. Yeah. So I would go electric kick, toms, snare. I would do a hybrid hi-hat, and then hybrid crash cymbals. And then you'll have the feel of cymbals, and you'll have a lot more playability.
You'll have to mic those. Right?
You will have to have an overhead mic for that. But to me, based on our experience, that's been a really great middle-of-the-road solution. If you go acoustic drums, you're going to regret it.
I will let Brad speak into this because you have a lot of experience with this too.
I've experienced with a handful of different situations.
I will say this. I'm seeing in the comments, and I know a lot of people, electronic drums are like evil to a lot of people. They're like the plague. You have to avoid it. But, and the argument that I'm seeing here is if your drummer's talented enough, they can play at a volume and a level that is appropriate for any size room on an acoustic kit.
But they're not going to.
Which is true. But 99.9% of churches out there don't have drummers that talented.
They have people who just play drums.
Especially if you're in a... Yeah. And I don't mean to stereotype, but like, especially if you're in a room that seats 200 people... the drummer, you're not. I don't see like world-class drummers.
Yeah.
Alex, you may be able to speak into that and say, actually, we do have a really world-class
Lamberton's a drummer.
Curtis.
Yeah,
he's in the comments.
He said, as a drummer,
if
100% accurate.
And even if you do have that drummer, you're basically telling them you have to never let yourself go above an intensity level of 3. And
part of great drum sounds. And the best drummers I know hit the hardest. Yeah. To get drums to sound good, you crack them.
Like that kick has to be punched.
It's kind of like taking a guitar player and saying, hey, don't put your volume past 2.
Yeah.
You know, and then you're like, whoa. So there's a lot to consider. But I think at the end of the day, it's worship. And the most important question is, how can we make the whole thing great? And I love drums. I'm a producer, right? I want great drum sounds. But in this situation, it's not about what's going to sound like a Grammy Award-winning album and what's going to make our drummers happiest. The real question is, what's going to be best for this situation? And you have to give a little, take a little. So you give on the playability and the articulations. Yeah. But what you gain on the other side is control, consistency, and way less headaches. Mm-hmm. And most of us are using volunteer sound guys. It's way easier to turn 2 faders up than it is to EQ a snare drum. Yeah. And so, it's all about situational, and I think everything is situational, right? You have to make it... If I'm recording an album, no-brainer. I'm using live drums, and I'm going to mix them till my heart's content. Yeah. But we don't have that option on Sunday morning. So I would go with what's easiest.
What do you think, Brad? Fuller and I have talked a lot.
Well, Passion has been doing these little pop-up, is what they're calling them, pop-up shows, and pop-up worship nights, and they're doing them in the round.
Cool.
So they're setting 8 people on this tiny little stage, and everybody is in a circle, and it's like everybody who's attending that night is standing in a circle around them. And I noticed, I actually saw them at a church not too far from us in a big room, and the drummer didn't even have cymbal shields. There's these circular shields that people will put just in front of the cymbals. Yeah, I've
seen that.
And I don't really know what that does. I think people say it does, but I'm like, I don't understand how that really. But anyways,
because it just goes.
Yeah, it just go around it, go over it. I don't know. Yeah. But so what Fuller's saying, we tell some of our drummers that play with me, we're like, hey, can you lay into that kick? Because it just doesn't have that snap.
Doesn't have the punch.
It doesn't have the snap. And the kick you can get away with wailing on. But if you want if you're doing a big intro with toms, you don't want to just dun 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 dun. You want to slam on them. So there's like what Fuller's saying, they sound better when they're hit, but you can play soft. But there's gonna be a time where someone's gonna lay into it, and y'all are gonna be like, yeah, Spirit's moving, that set was awesome, and the whole band's gonna be into it because they got in-ears and but then you're gonna see the people in the front row are this, and it's just not enjoyable. And I 100% understand because I was there. I was at a smaller room with electric drums, and I actually had a guy who I was a friend with who wouldn't come play with me because he was an electric kid. Yeah. I had to beg and plead for him to come down. Some people are purists,
and it also tells you, I don't know your friend, but
no, you do.
It speaks a little bit to the heart.
You know who it is.
It speaks to a little bit to the heart and the ego of a person who won't play on an electric kit.
I get it because I'm I got to put my amp in the back room. I got to open up my tube amp, and I get it. But the reality was, in that room, I don't care who you are, it is going to happen where you're just gonna throw caution to the wind and play however the heck you want. Yeah. And in that moment, you just took the 150, 200 people that are there, and you just neglected their thoughts and opinions and feelings about how worship's a sound, so one person can feel better about what they're playing. For a few songs on a Sunday, one day a week. Yeah. And the vision should be, hey, look, this is important that we go electric because of these reasons. Have reasons why it's the best option, and have reasons why you think it's going to make things better. And I think that's the way to do it. Now, if you want to box that drummer in completely, take away maybe you have drummers who know how to mic and how to tune drums and will replace heads, and you have the right sound guy and all. That's just a lot going on. And our drummers, they're in cages and stuff, and everybody jokes about them being the fishbowl, and they feel like they're not a part of the team. And you have this stage, and most of it, a third of it is taken up by the drum cage because of how big it is, and all that. And depending on what kind of community you're trying to foster with your team and with your congregation and all, and depending on how often your drummer plays and all of that, an electric drum set may just be better because they're not in a cage and they can play as hard as they want. Now the flip side is you don't want to hear those pads getting hit.
Oh my gosh,
because that's annoying too. So I don't know.
The volume.
I like the hybrid cymbal approach.
The stick.
I like hearing the metal.
So the comments are full of people telling us that how we're wrong. But that's fine. But
what do we know?
But this is at the Garner campus where I was, we had a $7,000 Risen kit that was purchased and donated to that campus, and it that was top of the line. And it just didn't work. Yeah,
it sounds way better now with electronic drums.
It was in a huge room. I mean, it was a huge drum cage that they had built for it, and it was a headache. And the drummer who played it was good. Yeah. Mike, he was good.
Yeah. Somebody goes, man, this electronic drum kit sounds so good and is so satisfying to play. Well, nobody.
It's not the preference, but you know what?
It's not about your preference.
It's not about us.
It's the equivalent of having a guitar player that's used to using a Marshall stack and then saying, all right, here's your helix.
Yeah, or your
and they're like, oh no. Yeah. But we spent a lot of time dialing it in.
So let's talk about that.
The electric kit.
Alex also asked, what would you get? And with electronic drums, if you go cheap, it's going to sound really
Don't go cheap.
You have to go high end, in our experience. I don't know what's out there now.
There's all kinds of new stuff out there.
At least when I was in Garner, we used the Roland TD30 or better on our stuff. And you could get it to sound. I think the misconception is you can't get them to sound good, and that's not true.
You know what? Here's the problem. People buy these kits, and then they just pull up a preset, and they go. That's not what they're designed to do. You need to get your best drummer in there to tweak the sounds, and if you have someone that knows how to use the kit, even better. You can maximize the drum kit sounds. You can change the sensitivity levels. You can change the samples. You can layer samples. You can even create new samples and pull them in. So if you don't like the sound of something, they're completely customizable. And if you customize it properly, you can get a really good sounding kit.
And they're customizable with velocity. Yeah. So depending on how hard a person plays, you can adjust the sensitivity, and you can save presets based on your different drummers. So if you've got a guy a drummer who hits it harder, you can adjust velocities of everything to accommodate them. And if you have someone who plays a little softer, you can adjust it so that it responds more accurately to their playing as well.
And they try to keep it true to form, like settings and things that you want to do it. But I would say try to adjust with your ears, not your eyes. Because you'll be like, why the heck do I need to put 5 moon gels on this? Because you can do like virtual moon gels.
Yeah.
But it's like, if it sounds good, it is good. Like, but we spent a lot of time dialing them in, got a lot of great snare sounds, and then even to the point where like you can adjust whether there is snare bleed when you kick the kick. Mm-hmm. So like you get that little bit of like when you kick it, because it's like the kick would vibrate the snares. But we spent a lot of time dialing them in, and it was the best solution. Everything sounded way better.
For a small room in a worship setting,
Yeah.
It's just acoustic drums are a nightmare.
Yeah.
They can be done, but it's hard.
Now you can do like individual outs, and like that may be tempting to like, I want the snare on its own channel, I want the toms on their own channel.
Yeah.
But I found that when you did that, unless there's a setting I missed, I spent a ton of time. I used these for 5 years. So for 5 years,
too.
I spent
4.5.
I spent time messing with stuff, checking menus, looking at inputs, outputs, different situations. I spent a lot of time with them. If you do individual out, you lose like the natural
See, we did
the simulation stuff. Yeah, so did we. But you lose like they if you do stereo out of the main outs instead of like the individual outs, you get it. They sound even better. Because they
sounds
throw
like a more
on
cohesive.
Yeah, because it like you mix it all on the unit itself, and you can add like you can edit each mic or edit each drum like it has its own mic, like you would on the board anyways.
Yeah.
Compression is your friend on the snare. That always made it sound really good. And then if you go stereo out, you can get like an amazing sound. You get more dynamics. It's unreal.
Yeah. Okay, so go high end.
Good.
Hopefully that gives you some food for thought.
That's
there.
good. Good question.
Now you know where we stand on electronic kits in small rooms. But if your room is big enough, acoustic drums are going to be...
I will say this. I do not have any scripture references to back up using an electronic drum kit.
Praise him with the timbrel and the cymbal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's a great one from Carl.
The rubberized...
Carl with two R's. He's got to be like Norwegian or something. When implementing a musical change like the number system, is it okay to individualize for each member based on where they are at? I have people that pick it up easily and those who struggle.
I just shout both at the same time.
Do it. Whatever.
I will say, hey, can we end on the A or hit the 4 or whatever? And like I say that, and I try to speak. I know each person's ability and all, but I try to do that. But I don't make it a hard and fast thing. These people who are serving with us are volunteers, and like they already spent the time learning the songs. So if I'll ask them to learn it, but I'm not going to fret, no pun intended, over the fact that they don't know a lot of music theory. So
guitar.
Yeah, I think you do whatever's best for your team. And if you want to convert everyone, you might have to do both for a while, have the numbers and the chords, and then eventually people will start catching on. But I mean, there's no reason to make a system that doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
So I like systems that work for everybody. So if you have to come up with a system that works for both kinds, then do it. There's no rule about it.
And I think this question, so Fuller and I made a video about our onboarding process, a Worship Leader Wednesday video. It went up on Wednesday.
Yeah, that got some comments.
And it was, one of the comments was because you had mentioned like, we have this whole process to onboard people. But you said, if I talk to somebody and they're like, and this has happened, a Grammy award-winning vocalist or a American Idol finalist vocalist, like they kind of skip the whole, we get them into the mix as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And there was a comment on there about, what do you think about that and how that makes other people feel?
Yes.
And so
I gave a short answer.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the same kind of question because this person,
Yeah.
the question was, is it okay if I tailor this to certain people or give certain people special help? Mm-hmm. I totally think that's okay.
Absolutely.
I mean, because
that's what leadership is.
Right.
You lead each person the way they need to be led.
And I loved your answer. Your answer was, the people on our team are mature enough to understand that this is how life works.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you said, if somebody was on American Idol.
If they're not, maybe they shouldn't be on the team.
Yeah, or they don't understand the vision. Yeah. And the other thing I said is, it's not that we don't audition them. It's just that their audition process is differently. Listen, me seeing you on American Idol, I consider that your audition. You know, so it's not like we just found someone off the street and gambled with them. So I think the reality is the language is important. You know, we're not skipping anything. We're just expediting.
That's Majesty, by the way, who's an American Idol finalist who sings at our church, and she does some stuff with some groups in Nashville, and she's awesome. Yeah.
Okay. When you remove someone from the team, what do you say to other people on the team when they ask why so-and-so isn't on the team?
That's a great question.
Why you want to be authentic but don't want to dishonor the person? That's a great question. I've had to walk through this many, many times. For one, I think creating a culture where coming and going is okay and normal. Yeah. And this goes back, oh my gosh, I hate to bring this up, but if you're using the same team every week for 5 years, when a person leaves, it's a much bigger deal than it should be.
And not in a disrespectful way.
No, yeah, exactly.
In a problematic
People are like, oh my gosh, what happened? He's been our drummer for 8 years. When you have teams that are flexible and balanced, people come and go as life... I just got an email yesterday from a sweet, sweet person on our team who's been a keyboard player for almost 5 years now. She basically said, hey, my life, lot going on, I'm going to need to step down.
Yeah.
So, fantastic. I'm like, I'm so glad that you are aware and you know, you're always welcome back. Let us know how we can pray for you. And no one's going to go, oh my gosh, what happened to that person? Because that's just part of our process.
Yeah.
So I think building a culture where coming and going is okay. But I do think, listen, if Brad leaves our team, you know, we're going to celebrate him. We're going to, celebrate the season that he had and the season where he's going.
Some ribeyes.
Exactly.
And some expensive coffee.
But if someone asked me, hey, what was Brad's deal? I'll be like, here's his number. You call him and you talk to him. You know, because I think some people just want gossip.
Don't do that.
Honestly, it's none of their business. You know why? So I always celebrate, focus on the positives, you know, and yeah, you're honest with people, right? Mm-hmm. You know,
their season at this time is just, they're in a different season right now, and this is not something they can be a part of or whatever.
Yep. And you should be able to say that with integrity. If you're hiding something or trying to cover up something, that's a different question.
But if there's
this go into politics.
This is another, so another kind of deviation off of this question, which may or may not be what you're talking about. Like, if there is some genuine concern that led to somebody having to leave, it is in your best interest to get ahead of that, though, and you need to discuss whether it's something people need to know about, because if it's something that, like, gossip could run rampant and, like, rumors could start, like some things are hard and awkward, and you may have to gather your team together with, like, your pastor or whoever is above you and be like, look, we know that you may be hearing that so-and-so has encountered a problem, and, like, those are ideal situations, but, like, if there's, like, a legitimate reason you need to have a discussion, like, you should probably talk to that person and be like, hey, we need to let the team know what's going on. Like, there are times where you're going to have to gather people together ahead of time, because if you sweep things under the rug... We actually were talking about some things this morning because we were trying to prepare for this, and it was like there could be times where less information is good. Yeah. And there could be times where less information leaves people to their own devices, and they'll write their own stories.
And they'll assume things that aren't true.
So you have to weigh that out. That's not easy, and so that's for you to decide, not us.
Yeah, you're right.
But, like, there are times where you're gonna have to decide if a hard conversation and discussing things is the best thing for the future.
I think if there's a person who leaves because of something,
because they don't like the carpet color,
you need to talk about that. Like, something really bad happened, like there's some sort of a break of trust, or, you know, something like that. I think that's a point where you want to probably gather the team together and just talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
In a way that's full of grace, you know, and love and truth. But all those situations are always going to be extremely specialized to what actually is happening. Mm-hmm. And you have to. I would also say your senior pastor, your whoever's in leadership of your church is it would be my go-to person to talk about that. How to handle situations like that.
Yeah.
Okay, got another one?
Okay, looking through stuff here. People asking for in-depth tutorials on how to use the Helix patches. I think you got those, don't you?
You know, Brad and I we've talked for a long time about making a video where we build a patch like in the video, which I think that would be very helpful to people, because we would talk through our process of like, here's how we set up our amps and why, here's the order we build our signal chain, here's how we set drives up and gain staging and all that. That would be helpful. Mm-hmm. And then we need to do that. Mm-hmm. I shot a video, I just need to edit it and add some more to it, that I thought was really insightful about making changes live to your modeler. It doesn't matter what you're using. Making changes based on the live room and how your tone is sitting in a mix in the live, because everyone experiences this. I've seen this comment over and over and over. Sounds great in my bedroom or my studio, my personal space where I'm setting stuff up, whether it's headphones or a speaker. It sounds awesome. I get it in on Sunday and it sounds like trash. So you've got to be able to know how to make changes and what to do. And I shot a video on that. I just need to edit it.
Good. There you go. When can you guys do a tutorial of how to set up a small home studio? That's good. Good. We should do that.
We already talked about the Universal Audio Apollo.
Yeah. That's a good one.
A home studio, really, you just need two things.
Computer.
Three. You need a computer, you need some kind of an interface, and you can spend as little as $100 and get something nice.
Or less even.
Like anything by...
Scarlett.
Yeah, like the Scarlett. Who makes that? That's
Who makes Scarlett?
Focusrite.
Focusrite makes really great small interfaces.
M-Audio.
So does M-Audio. So does Presonus. All of them are about
Presonus.
All of them are about the same level. Yeah. Like you see a lot of like, what should I get? Like they're all going to sound.
You need a computer, a sound device,
and a microphone.
And headphones. That's your minimum. Yeah. And a room, and then probably permission from your wife if you're married to use that room as a studio.
And then a desk, and then a chair,
minus
and 20 guitars.
Minus the computer, really, you don't need to spend more than like.
You see how it all begins?
Minus the computer, you can get it going for like $250.
Yeah,
easy.
That's good.
Like, I would get a budget condenser microphone in the $100 to $150-ish range. You can do a lot of damage with that.
So this is a legitimate question from Augustin. I'm a worship leader at our church. One of our vocalists just dyed her hair blue. What should I do?
I don't understand the problem.
Well, it might someone asked,
blue might be jarring on stage.
That's kind of shocking, but I mean, at the end of the day, like, who cares?
Pick your battles.
Yeah, pick your battles.
So if somebody did that at our church, it would not.
It would be cool.
Yeah. Deal. If somebody did it in a very traditional church,
it would be what
you would get a lot of emails and notes and letters, right? So it totally depends on the
culture of your church.
And without us knowing that, it's hard to talk about.
You have to decide if it's worth addressing, because to you it may seem like a big deal, or maybe it doesn't. Yeah. But depending on if you do or don't address it, you may have somebody who comes up to you and wants to know why, if that's a problem, why this isn't a problem. Or why this isn't a problem, but that's a problem.
Context is everything.
So it's just like, I mean, are we talking like they comb their hair like and like put like Elmer's glue in it and it's just like a fan? like if she just like has her hair down and it's blue, oh, that's great. Like I don't know. It's just those kind of problems can... addressing that problem or not addressing it could either lead to more problems or not. So.
I don't know anything in the Bible about coloring.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But if you feel like it's a distraction to your church based on your culture,
that's the point.
Then you just need to talk about it. I mean, the reality is, in some churches it wouldn't be a distraction, in some churches it would. But at the end of the day, I don't think there's a theological question here. I think it's just a cultural preference. So I think you just need to talk to the pastor first and go, hey, is that cool? Or whatever. And if he has a problem with it, then there's other things that need to be discussed.
Fuller.
He or she. Yeah.
Okay, I got a question that just came up from Matt Parker that I think is good. Have you ever been in a situation where you are using tracks and live streaming at the same time every weekend? Okay. We are.
Yeah.
Is it possible to navigate this ethically? Yes. Is it either or? That's the question.
You mean live streaming to like Facebook? I assume?
Are you talking about copyright reasons, Matt? Can you expand a little bit? Because you definitely have to have a license legally to stream tracks, which we do. It's a CCL live streaming license.
So that's how you get around the ethical.
Yeah, so if there's no real ethical...
It's not getting around. It's just following the rules.
If you pay this license, you can do it. If you don't, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I'm not real sure. I don't see any ethical issues with it.
Is it possible to navigate this ethically? Yes. So if you... we do use tracks every weekend at all of our campuses. We do live stream.
He said yes, copyrights.
Okay,
yeah.
So we do live stream from our broadcast campus to Facebook and YouTube. And we pay the licensing fees.
Yep.
And I don't know, do you know where that's taken care of?
CCLI,
CCLI.
Our finance people pay a license every year. It's not cheap. But if you're a church that's streaming your service online, you should probably have that in your budget. There are a lot of legalities, and I would take this as an opportunity to say this. If you are a worship leader at your church, make sure that your church is in compliance with the laws and regulations of the copyright laws in the United States, because...
Or wherever you are.
Yeah, because you should be paying those licenses. If you're not, you're literally stealing money from people that should be getting paid.
Actually, you're not literally.
You are literally stealing it.
You're not literally stealing
Well, you are. You're stealing it, virtually. But literally, you're stealing money out of their pockets. It's just virtual stealing. I think
Fuller and I have
literally
running
about the
discussion.
Meaning of the word literally.
Yeah. Anytime somebody says the word literally, Fuller and I look at each other. Literally.
We always evaluate it.
Like in the middle of a meeting, we'll be across the room
I'm losing my mind.
Literally, are you?
Yes. Brad, are you wearing a tuning pitch on your shirt? Trevor,
I mean,
440.
Depending on how you look at it, yes.
Yeah.
But also,
A440.
440 Sound is a guitar company, or like a music gear company, and they made this dope shirt, and it's got...
Yeah.
Is it? It's a black shirt. It's got a
said,
white logo.
Yeah. No, look at the back though.
Oh, I like that.
Some orchestras do tune to 440 too.
That's James Duke and Michael Pope's name on it.
Yeah, I see that.
That's funny. Hey, Daniel says, my wife keeps trying to get me to let her put a blue stripe in my hair. Do it, dude. What are you, crazy? If my wife wanted me to do that, I'd be like, let's do it right now.
I wouldn't.
I would. Blue stripe? Your wife wouldn't want you to do that.
Some tips.
Yeah. Is Bradford wearing... Yeah, got that.
Do you create the tracks? Jeffrey asks.
No, always.
Sometimes
we do. We typically get them from multi-tracks. Yeah. Loop Community has a bunch of awesome stuff.
Matt follows up. I was under the impression there is no license for streaming pre-recorded material. There is always a license for everything.
Yeah, people want to make that money.
Yeah, anytime you use any music that you haven't personally written, there is a license involved because it's a performance stream. So what about arranging your own versions of worship songs? Do it. It's fun. It's awesome. Just don't use your church as a guinea pig for terrible music. So make sure your music's good. Make sure your music.
I'm so glad you said that.
Make sure your music's good, and the way you can do that is
play it for other people and get their opinion.
Email me the track, and I'll tell you. Let's just go to shortcut.
You really do need to have it evaluated by somebody else that wasn't involved in the writing process.
Let's see what else. How could we go about transition into in-ears from wedges? How could we do this on a budget? You get what you pay for. I know that gear is really expensive to get. Our church has used wedges for a very long time. That's a very common transition.
Yeah.
You got to just put together a budget. You got to do some homework and see what is it going to cost. So, I mean, if you want to go wireless, that's where there's a myth. Question. Going in-ears is not expensive.
No.
Going wireless
is expensive.
Actually, going in-ears is cheaper than wedges usually.
Yeah.
It's a long cable and a headphone and buds.
Yeah, and you can buy. So you've got your sub mixes out of your board, and those are your in-ear mix. Those are your monitor mixes or whatever, and you run that via one cable to a headphone amp. On stage, Rolls makes them for about $85.
Behringer makes these little doohickeys now also that clip onto your belt.
Okay.
They're this long and they're like a cube.
Yeah.
And one end goes to XLR and it's got a little volume knob on it.
Oh,
the other end you just put on your pants.
You're just tethered.
You just plug in, so you're tethered, but it's personal because you could just unplug
really
the XLR if you want. And
drummers never go wireless anyways, and they're the ones that need to hear the clip more than anyone.
Cheap. So going wired in ears is cheap and actually sounds better than wireless because it's a direct signal. wireless is where you're going to spend a lot of money. There are some solutions out there that we've covered at worship tutorials, like Audio Fusion, for example. That is a much more budget-friendly wireless solution. It uses iOS devices as the receiver. So it's pretty cool technology. But if you want to go like a traditional wireless system, you get what you pay for. Cheap wireless for in-ear monitoring. We found that cheaper wireless for like instrument wireless can be really good. You can spend $100 or $200 on a wireless guitar.
The company is, and the reason why Line 6 is cheaper is because they have like this massive like empire. Empire. So that's one thing. But like the Line 6 G10 stuff is great. It's like $150.
Yeah, but for wireless in-ear monitoring, boy, you get what you pay for, and you're gonna have to spend you need to budget like $1,000 per person who's using it. And it's not just per person; it's per basically position on your stage that's using it, and so that can get expensive.
And you depending on like if you just have background vocalists that aren't leading a song, you could get away with not transitioning them to in-ears right away to save a little bit of money. But the second somebody leads a song, they're going to be able to hear those cues. And you may have people who could get around it just like they know the song. So for a while, I played with a band when I was in college and right out of college for youth group, and the drummer. The only reason we use a click track, and the drummer was the only one that heard it. Yeah. So we could just have tracks. We could like have pads and have some like synth stuff and some percussion stuff. So as the worship leader, I had to have the order of the song down cold. Yeah. And it was fun because it actually meant I couldn't go on autopilot. Like I had to think. And I had to, so he would always keep time for me. And he would kind of lean into
during the softer sections.
Yeah, and like if he was on the ride, he would lean into it through a measure, so I knew when to go. And him and I just worked really well together, and he knew what to do. But he was the only one on in-ears. All he did was run his computer into this little tiny mixer, and he ran headphones in, and all he heard in them was click basically, so he could keep up. He didn't need to hear much else. And he took the headphone out from the mixer, and then in the mixer, he just split it again and ran the right side, or whichever side he chose, into a DI that went straight to the board. And so it's just like another instrument, and the click didn't even go to the house. And we did that, and so that's a really
budget.
Super cheap.
But effective setup.
It takes practice, because you have to make sure your drummer, like the guy I had on drums is a genius. Josh Detweiler is his name.
Josh Detweiler.
And he is so good at any instrument he plays. He's a phenomenal drummer. He's the guy that you could ask to play an acoustic kit in a room of 30 people and know that he's like your exception to the rule. Like he would not hit too hard. He is very good at maintaining volume. Even like rocking 4-on-the-4 songs, he's really good at it. But your drummer, you have to trust your drummer, and they have to be completely confident in that. I'd never had in-ears, and it was just fine.
Yeah.
So.
You got another question?
Raul said if we meet him in Sanford, he'll buy us lunch, and I gave my email address, because I will take him up on that. So that's a good way to get lunch with someone.
If you want to have
there was
meeting with the king.
There was another question. If you want a meeting with the king, you bring a gift. Man, the Proverbs are so good.
Dude. Hey, one other quick thing about wirelesses. Usually the biggest difference between cheap wirelesses and expensive wirelesses is not the quality, it's the amount of frequencies that they offer. So if you buy cheap wireless units, you probably will find that you can only use 4 to 8 of them together. The reason we had to upgrade to an expensive wireless system is because we have like 80 wirelesses in our building. So you have to, the higher end stuff offers more frequencies.
It sounds like overkill, but when you start thinking like all of our instruments are wireless, all of our microphones are wireless,
all our ministries,
all of our
kids ministries, our student ministries, they all use wireless. So in one building, you get to the point where you need 70 frequencies, and that's what the cheap ones don't offer. So just keep that in mind.
And the reason why we use wireless though is because it's just we've had enough problems with wires and people tripping on stuff, and it's easier to clean the stage and to get stuff out of the way, and it's easier to let people move.
You don't have to do it.
You don't have to.
It's a choice. I mean,
But like I don't use anything wireless except in-ears. My guitar I plug straight in. I got a nice cable from Sinusoid. It's like an 18-footer. And my mic is wired because I MD. I could use a wireless mic for MDing, but like there's always going to be some Sunday where I'm going to need that wireless mic for a vocalist, and I'd have to set up a wired mic again anyway, so I just do it. It's just what you have, like what you need to do. So.
Here's an interesting question.
Yes.
As we get close to the end.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up pretty soon.
What do you recommend for a group where the leaders are disinterested and or passive? What can I do to practically to help my group improve?
So this is a volunteer.
Yeah.
And their leadership
sounds like it
is
we get questions.
And there's another question similar. I'll read that now too.
Common question.
I'm having problems getting my team to be as excited as I am about the vision. So those are all kind of like
from the person writing that is a volunteer.
No, the worship leader.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the question's coming from sort of both sides.
Yeah. That's a common problem. I mean, honestly, the first thing I would do, besides, ask God and the Holy Spirit for help, is go buy a John Maxwell book called 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership and read it cover to cover. Because there's a lot involved with leading people.
Yeah.
And there's certain skills, there's certain things you can actually learn that you can start to do and implement, and it will result in seeing movement. You will result in seeing people follow you more, because to me it always starts with the leader. And great leaders can move people from here to there, but there's a way to do it. So I would go buy some leadership books, because it really is about leadership.
And John Maxwell's 360 leadership.
That's a great one too.
Especially if you're like a volunteer, or maybe you are paid, but it's the people above you. 360 leadership is at the end of the day, what I gathered from that book was what he says is the person in the middle of an organization is the most influential person. Because they're leading the people below them, but then you're actually probably doing more to lead the person above you if you are just going to push through and you're going to be excellent at everything. Because why would your leader want to look like they're terrible? Like, why would your leader want to look like the person under them is doing better? And there's other reasons in the book, but I just took that, I was like, wow, that's really good. So in the days where I think my boss is doing a terrible job, I'm pointing at Fuller, but he's not noticing. He's not noticing. It was a joke.
Is the boss.
Dotted line.
But that's also a good book for that too, because. But the answer is there is no easy answer. These kind of things, like the easiest, the way to handle these is to get way, 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 way ahead of them.
Yeah.
And to address problems as they come, not let them hopefully play themselves out. A lot of situations we get asked about are because somebody, and it may not be because they're intentionally ignoring them, but it's because somebody just hasn't addressed them sooner, and now they blew up in their face, and they're having to have these hard conversations now. But also relationships, like having relationships, and like don't come to a leader with problems and no solutions. Because that's gonna that'll be awkward for you, and you'll seem like a person who's just complaining. But then also that maybe your leader just doesn't know what to do with that. So
if you're gonna come to your leader with a concern about their leadership, that's a hard conversation to have. Although it's oftentimes a very important conversation to have. I always, and we did this in Fuller and I. We got a teaser for the next worship leader. You're going to like this, Bradford. The next worship leader, so next Wednesday's video, is how to handle the last minute pastor.
That's coming.
Oh, yes. I remember. I think he told me about it.
So, but in that, we talked about the fact that, if you're going to go to your leader, because we talked about how do you have a conversation with your pastor, if you're a worship leader, who constantly, you perceive them to sabotage your services, they're calling you or emailing you late in the week with changes and stuff consistently, right? That's the last minute pastor. But the idea is, if you go to a person in leadership over you with concerns, always say, what can I do to help? That's going to disarm the situation. That's going to help disarm the situation, and buy them lunch or coffee, because Solomon says in the book of Proverbs. If you would like an audience with the king, bring a gift.
You should get that printed on a t-shirt.
I need that. I say
I'm going to get one.
Not that your leader is a king, but the principle holds.
That's good.
But the idea is somebody with power or influence, or somebody that's special, or somebody that's to be honored or respected.
Yes.
Or somebody that you're asking for their time when they really have none. So
yes.
Have you guys seen Aladdin, the new one?
Yeah.
Every time they come to a prince comes to meet Jasmine,
he brings like so much stuff.
They bring like half a kingdom's worth of gold, because what they're saying is, I'm bringing something to this relationship. But
yeah, L.A. Hello. L.A.'s hanging out with us here in the chat room. The chat room. What a 90s term.
Wow, Brian. Is this America Online?
In the comment section. Yeah. Let's see. What? I was going to say something and I totally forgot.
One more thing about the team thing.
Let's not do that.
What you're talking about is culture. And culture doesn't change overnight. Culture takes a long time to change. So
I remember what I was going to say. Also understand that worship leaders and pastors, people in leadership in churches, are oftentimes so overwhelmed and overworked, and it's not that they lack passion or a desire to. I'm stereotyping. This certainly doesn't apply to everybody, but it's not that people lack a desire to do things well. Often it's just they're so burned out or overworked, or they have so much going on that they can't do anything well because they have to do everything. And it's like they only have so much time and emotional bandwidth to do what they need to do.
Yeah.
And with worship leaders, and what I have found in my own life, and the reason worship tutorials exist, period, is most worship leaders don't know how to do the job well. It's not that they don't want to.
And it's not a dog at people either.
No. It's that nobody's ever taught them. And that's where I was. When I started leading worship, I had a background in chemistry and in business administration.
And that's done him zero good.
Yeah. Well, I met my wife that way. I'd say that's pretty good.
That's fair.
But that's fair. But it's like I got this job leading worship because I learned how to play a guitar and I could sing. Okay.
Yeah.
And I had no idea how to lead teams, how to build teams, how to set how to set culture and cultivate that in your church. That's all so important, but nobody ever taught me how. And it wasn't until I got to New Hope Church and Pastor Brian Fuller over here,
Brian Michael Fuller,
and the team at New Hope, I began to learn how. And if you look at worship tutorials, because I started this channel long before I got there, but I didn't do anything about leadership until years after I started at New Hope, because I didn't know anything about it. I mean, I knew a little bit, but like most worship leaders, I think, are people who got, especially because the average church in America is under 100 people, and they don't have resources or budget or anything to hire people who have been trained well. And so you get people who can play and play an instrument and sing, and that you need that, but they don't know how to lead worship because nobody's ever taught them. And so it's not a dig on people, but that's why we do what we do, is because we want to equip people to lead well. And people want to lead well. They want to know how. It's really hard to do it well.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that thought came to my mind when you said that, when the commenter said that my leader seems disingenuous, or they seem what was the term? I don't know.
Uninterested,
or not passionate. It's like they're probably just overwhelmed and frustrated because like they want to do a good job, they just don't know how. Yeah. Because no one's ever shown them. Yeah.
Mega Man, let's close with this question.
Okay.
Is it terrible that I want to completely start over, take everyone off the team, and rebuild?
You did it.
Well,
it's not terrible.
Everything in moderation.
Yeah, it's not terrible that you feel that way.
It'd be terrible if you didn't.
But that's probably not the solution. However, building, sometimes you got to grow smaller before you grow bigger.
Yeah.
So I would I would have real heart-to-heart conversations with everyone on the team after you figure out where you're going and how you're going to get there. And then I would just see who's on board.
Yeah.
And the ones that are on board, they stay. The ones that are not on board, you help them find another ministry to serve in. Mm-hmm. And then go from there. But you can't go based on emotions. You got to go based on facts. And you got to really get to the heart of stuff. But, to feel that way is good, because I think the feeling of frustration, wanting to fix everything, is kind of what motivates us to get through the hard times.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the thought behind it, maybe I would assume, is more like you're having a hard time with what the culture's like now, and you feel like if you did start over, it may be better. But I think you're probably joking a little bit, because if where would you get everybody if you kicked everybody off? Like, then what would you do? But the idea is, like,
you by yourself.
Who do you have that's your, like, 1, 2, or 3, or depending on how large your ministry is, people that you trust and know that are vision carriers for you and always have your back as the leader? And then can you get them on board and just meet with them and be like, hey, we need to start implementing changes.
Yeah.
What is that? Like, this is what I think we need to change. This is what I think we need to add. This is what we need to take away. And we actually talked about this last time, or a few weeks ago. Like we have a covenant that we ask our team members to sign, which explain the vision of the ministry and what's expected. And, like, they're not ridiculous things by any stretch of the imagination. Like,
and we have that available for free for you at
we do
tutorials if you would like to grab it and copy it.
Because people ask about it.
To disseminate to your team. You like that word, disseminate?
That's a nice chemistry word.
Yes.
It's a nice business school word, Brian.
There you go.
But you do it, and you just get everybody together and tell them, like, this is what's going on. And, you're not trying to, like, trick people. You're not trying to, like, it's not some, like, loyalty pledge and, like, some, like, joke of a thing. Like, the whole point is, like, we want to get everybody on the same page. I want to know that everybody's in agreement with this. And everybody has problems with it. You may find that these people just wanted to be led, and you just provided something for them to refer to. And then you can then go and say, like, okay, to the 2 people who don't like it, well, what don't you like about it? Like, what's the privately, just one-on-one. Say what's bothering you. They can tell you, and you can either do one of 2 things. You can fix that problem for them because it may be legitimate, or you can explain it better, or you can be like, maybe at this time it's not the right season for you to be a part of this team, because this is the vision 95% of people are on board with.
Yeah.
So,
hey, can I hop in here and say something? I've been watching these comments.
I don't know who you think you are.
And I've been I
don't know what channel you think you've started.
Monitoring what Pastor Brian Fuller has been saying over here, poo-pooing on my beloved Axe FX3.
I haven't been poo-pooing. I just said the Axe is out of the price range.
Well, whose price range?
Well, he was asking, choosing between gear.
Did he say what?
And I said I would absolutely choose the Helix.
The Axe FX, the Axe FX3.
They just brought it down.
Is the best.
How much is it now?
The Axe FX3 is $2,000.
Oh, then go Axe FX3.
But you got to get
4 of them.
You've got to get the foot controller though.
How much is that?
$700 or $600.
So for $2,600, I'm in.
$2,700, you're in.
$2,600, I'm going Axe FX, even though I've never played it. I believe Brian.
It's the best.
If it's good enough for Metallica.
It's my own personal opinion.
No,
now, see, Bradford prefers the Kemper.
I do.
Right, with a pedal board. So it's all about what you prefer. But
I prefer getting someone else to record my guitar tracks.
If you have $1,500 to spend, let me say this. If you have $1,500 to spend and no more, you absolutely cannot do better than the Helix. The Helix is killer. Okay.
Aaron thinks we're ghosting him. Okay, someone talk about the Head Rush, please.
Don't do it.
I've never played one.
What is
it? Who makes it?
Okay, so the Head Rush.
It's 11 rack. It's Avid.
It's a Helix. It's a Helix competitor made by a company called.
We've talked about it to death, which is why you feel that way. Because I'm tired of talking about it.
The sounds in it are
old news.
They acquired it from Avid. It's the 11 rack in a floorboard. I'm told that it sounds a little better, and it might, but
I have the 11.
These guys
I have the 11 rack. There are a
rack.
few clean patches I was able to get to sound amazing, but the Helix blew it away.
The thing is people ask these questions and they always say, "I'm trying to save money."
You're there you go.
If you want to save money,
get a Helix.
Do what you want to do.
But
my experience is the second you settle because of money, you're gonna end up trying to figure out how to spend more money to get what you wanted to begin with. So
and a Helix LT used is $800-ish. I mean that's more. I don't think you can get a
yeah. Caleb brought it up. Their UI is great, but that's not enough for me. Kemper's UI is not great, and I would still use that over the head rush.
Yeah.
Kemper's UI is like Texas Instruments TI-83 calculator
Kemper's
style.
UI. There's a certain charm to that.
Funny.
Because I used the TI-85. I still have one. I actually spilled a container of marinara sauce onto my TI-85.
That sounds like something you would do.
And turned it off. Because, so I was a chemistry major in college.
I spilled a can of marinara.
I had to have a nice calculator.
You're not allowed to eat in my studio.
And I put that TI-85 to work, let me tell you.
I bet you did.
Okay, and so at one point in college, I spilled a container of marinara sauce on top of it, and I freaked out because I was in college, I was poor. Those things,
$150.
Those things are expensive. And this was a former life.
The marinara controversy.
And so I turned it off.
Was that from your delivery from Pizza Hut with your breadsticks?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes, that was what we did in college. You order breadsticks.
Did you pay for express delivery, Brian?
Oh, they didn't do delivery where I went to college.
I
went to college in a very small town. We drove to the Pizza Hut to the drive-thru window and got it. So I knew a guy at Pizza Hut, and I ordered breadsticks, and I would tell him,
I was just
"Can you
put shot in the dark?" And I
Really?
was right. Yeah.
Because there was a Pizza Hut and McDonald's and a Subway in the town where I went to college. Hillsboro, Kansas. It's a town of about 3,000 people. Except for when school's in, it's a town of about 4,000 people. And so I knew a guy that worked at Pizza Hut. So I would say, I want to order breadsticks, cheesy breadsticks, and I want you to put sausage and onions and pepperonis on them. And so for like the cost of breadsticks, you basically get a whole pizza, and you didn't charge me for the extra topping.
That's awesome.
And so, I spilled the container of Pizza Hut marinara sauce on my TI-85 calculator, and I turned it off. I held it under the sink and just let the water run on it. I was like, I'm shot in the dark here. And then I dried it off and let it dry. Turned it on, sure enough. To this day, it works. But like the keys, when you press the keys, they're all crusty.
Sticky. Yeah, you could probably clean that.
So anyway.
Yeah.
For the graphing calculator, they probably make an app now that you use on the. I'm gonna figure that out.
I did so much calculus on that on that calculator. It was crazy. I love
calculator.
I love that thing.
Speaking of ending the stream,
I love it. Well, please do a Kemper giveaway. Brad says, "Supply us with the Kemper, and we will do a giveaway." That's so true. That's so true.
Yeah, the stage is sweet. It's basically the head and the remote together in one package.
We're also going to do a Ferrari giveaway as soon as someone gives us a Ferrari to give away.
Well, 4 Ferraris, one for each of us, and then one to give away, because we can't give it away if we've never tried one ourselves, right?
Oh, wait, this is funny. I have a guitar player that says 440 is unholy and not right with the universe.
I would say if you have a problem with that, you might want to find another church.
I will say also this.
You might not like our team.
It's not holy, but it is out of sync with the universe, but none of that really matters because the ultimate frequency is 528, I think.
Is it?
That's the ultimate frequency and harmony where the frequency spectrum and the color spectrum is the exact same, but it has nothing to do with being holy.
So 438, what is it, 428?
528, I think.
No, but the other 432 is the
Well,
other
430,
frequency.
some people tune to 432, some orchestras tune to 442. I would just say, if you do that, you're going to be out of sync with every multi-track you ever use.
I mean, you can tune that.
You can tune to whatever you want, but you have to have the whole band tuned to that.
What if you're at 48K and something's set for 44.1K?
It slows down or speeds up and changes pitch.
I think it's a waste of time.
How do you approach the MD role? Make sure that they're an awesome musician and they know their stuff and they communicate well.
We did a Sunday vlog about that. Check it out. It's titled Tips for MDs. Yeah.
Yep. No hardware.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
we got to sign off, guys. I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, you are. And I'm getting salty.
Oh, hey, here's a question. This one speaks to my heart because I love it. Can you please tell me the color on your PRS?
Faded
Fuller, can you hold it?
It's called Dad Rock Blue. It is
it's
denim.
It's faded whale blue. Let me make sure that's right.
It is.
PRS faded.
I think we're gonna have to agree to disagree.
So that is the color, faded whale blue. They do have a color that I thought, because I knew I wanted this color on a PRS, and I was under the impression that was called denim, but they do have that camera's not going to focus on that.
Oh,
it's manual.
It's manual focus.
Hold it right up in front of Brad's face.
Bush League.
That'll get it. That'll get it in the frame.
That's fine.
They have a color called denim, but it's different. It's like a darker, more royal blue, I think. Faded whale blue is what you want. I actually have talked with PRS. Since getting that guitar, we've formed a relationship with PRS.
They're sending 4 Silver Skies, one for a giveaway and one for each.
And I was talking to. I received
that.
We are going to do some content with PRS coming up in the future. We're excited about that. But I was talking to one of their people, and they said that the custom 24 faded whale blue is the most popular selling guitar.
I believe it. It's pretty.
Because it's awesome.
It's pretty.
That's what that is. It's a custom 24.
You can see the natural wood grain underneath.
Yeah, nice. They are stunning in person.
All right.
Okay, that's it. We're gonna sign off. And thank you all so much for hanging out with us today.
It's been real.
Are we going to be back next Friday?
Let's do a one-word association before.
No, let's not do that. Are we going to be back?
I'm going to say one word, Brian.
Oh gosh.
If you
Let's
made
end this thing right now.
If you made it to the very end and
kill the stream, kill the stream.
Hopefully you know what that's about.
Oh
Okay.
my
We need to end
All
this thing right now.
We're not.
Also, got a Strymon Iridium.
Oh, we had a question about that.
Coming our
Strymon
way.
Iridium is coming. Yep. Okay,
So
that'll be coming up soon. We'll talk about that on the channel. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Hey, are we going to be live next Friday? You guys got anything going on?
Yeah.
it's November 1st.
I got nothing but time.
Yeah.
So you know that means.
Bye, Kim Turn.
We'll be back next Friday.
It's November 1st.
Unless I get deathly ill, and then in which case we probably won't.
In which case, Fuller and I will go live on his back porch.
Yes. We've done it. No,
Brian passed away, but the live stream must go on.
We're huddled around a camera like this.
All right, guys. See you later.